it's Reija and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my February comics reading wrap-up. So all the comics and graphic novels that I read during February, and I didn't actually read as much of them as I did in January, but I still had a pretty good comic reading month. So let's get started. First up, I read volumes 4 through 6 of 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. And this is a reread for me. It's been, what can I say, maybe 10 years since I read the whole series last time, and I didn't even finish it back then. So I read up to 6 volumes, and now I'm caught up in the volumes that I read, and the next ones will be fresh for me. And I really love this series. I'm still so happy that I recommended it during my Halloween manga recommendations video, because this series is just great. It has good tension. It follows this group of kids, how they had this secret friend society when they were growing up. And then when they are adults, they figure out that there's this cult who's using their friend symbol that they came up with when they were kids. And there's also a rise of a fascist regime, and it falls into science fiction, and there's killer robots. It's amazing. The whole series is really good. So I read volumes 3, 4, 5 and 6, so four volumes during February, and I really like them. I pretty much gave all of them 4 or 5 stars except volume 6, because there were some outdated terminology regarding transgender characters, which I went into a little more detail in my Goodreads review, which I will leave linked down below. But other than that, I really like where this series is going. I can't wait to pick up the next volumes, and I'm excited to read more. The next comics that I read were the first 2 volumes of Berserk by Kentaro Miura, and this is another reread project for me. I feel that in BookTube you don't really see a lot of people talking about rereads, so I thought that I'd keep you updated on my rereading projects, which there are a few this year. So yeah, I read the first 2 volumes of Berserk, and I have to say that it didn't hold up for me as much as I would have liked. Like, I read the first volumes like 15 years ago, and I was a teenager back then, so I was apparently very easily amused. There are a lot of things that get introduced in the first 2 volumes, like the concepts of apostles, the demonic brand, and the Behelit gets introduced, and all these demonic possession stuff. There is a lot that gets established in the first 2 volumes that kind of lures you in and makes you intrigued about what's going to happen next. But at the same time, the first 2 volumes at least are very formulaic and fall into that hack and slash grimdark fantasy setup, which I actually don't find very fascinating nowadays. I want more subtlety, and I know that Berserk gets subtle and gets more engaging later, but as of right now, if I was reading this now as a newcomer, I don't think I necessarily would have continued on with the series. But I gave Berserk Volume 1 3 stars and Volume 2 3.5 stars, so Volume 2 was a bit of an improvement. And the last comic book I read during February was Rosalie Lightning. This was a graphic memoir by Tom Hart, and it details his and his wife's struggle to come to terms with the sudden passing of their child, Rosalie. And it details his and his wife's struggles to come to terms with the sudden passing of their child, Rosalie. I have to say that I did not particularly enjoy this. Like, enjoying is the wrong word for it in any case, because it is a story about grief and coming to terms with grief and the pain of it, so it can't be enjoyable in and of itself, but or too entertaining either. It's hard to describe the whole experience, but for me the biggest clincher as to why I did not really like it was the art. The art style just is aesthetically, I'm not drawn to that kind of art, and it's not anything against Tom Hart. He is a very good artist, and actually that kind of art requires you to have a good concept of space, of anatomy and stuff. I can see that, but I just don't... It just doesn't speak to me. I'm not drawn to it. So it's a bit hard to rate a graphic memoir and an autobiography in any case, but I ended up giving Rosalie Lightning 3 stars because I do think that it is an okay story. It is a good exploration of grief. I just personally am not the type of person who really enjoys these kinds of books. And there you have it. This has been my February comics reading wrap up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And I will see you in another video. Bye bye!